Welcome to Rate the Dream, Life, Love, and Mortgages. I'm your host, Melissa Landon, and I'm here with a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Allyson Lenz, and I'm going to pick her brain on VA loans and all the things that she has done in the real estate community to educate all of us on VA loans and the ins and the outs.
Perfect.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you. I know how busy you are and taking the time and to come all the way out here.
Yeah, for
So it's really nice. So tell me a little bit of just about you and who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I grew up in a military family. We moved around on average. Our PCS cycle was about every 2 years. Sometimes we stayed a third year. And, just moved all over the place. I lived in 3 countries by the time I was 10. So we were also over in Asia, in Japan and South Korea. Absolutely loved both countries. It was an incredible experience. And, we spent all the time going all over the place. All of our family friends were military. And ultimately, I have 4 generations of family members who are military. So when I shifted into real estate, it just kind of became this whole natural niche market, so to speak, because I understand that lifestyle, getting in with them to really kind of focus on helping them buy or sell coming here, or even lease, coming here to the Northern Virginia area. And I taught beforehand. I spent several years in the education world. I got multiple science degrees actually, and taught middle school science. Love them at that age, at 12 and 13, they don't even quite consistently know how to, use deodorant or bathe every day. In addition to everything else that they have going on. And you have to kind of have a lot of patience and, special love for that age group. But I just kind of got burnt out. So real estate kind of became that, shift out of education. But at the same time, I still kind of feel like I'm educating people on a regular basis.
How long have you been doing real estate? Have you been a licensed realtor?
Yeah, so this is my 12th year in August officially. So
great. Congratulations. Yeah. That's amazing. 12 years. Yeah. So you've seen a lot.
Yes.
You've seen this of just the whole,
I've seen a lot
especially being here in Northern Virginia. Mm-hmm. Have you been licensed the entire time in Northern Virginia?
Yes, and just Virginia. I drive all over the place in Nova, so I have no desire to also
do Maryland.
Do Maryland or, West Virginia or DC even, I got my areas and I'm good.
So you're also part of the VAREP.
Yes.
Okay. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to come, because I just feel like you're a wealth of knowledge when it comes to VA loans and educating the real estate community about VA loans, because there is such a stigma.
Unfortunately, there is.
In real estate, it doesn't matter what state you're in, because we work all over, right? We have contacts in everywhere and everyone. And I don't know if it was, I never really noticed it pre-COVID as much as during the COVID years and after, that the stigma was there, in my opinion. I never, before that, we were like, oh, it didn't seem to have as much angst if you wrote an offer with a VA loan and people were worried that it wasn't going to be accepted. So tell us about VAREP, how you got involved, and...
So just to kind of start off a little bit of background about what VAREP is, it's the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals. So you can kind of think of us as a little bit of networking with other real estate people who work with military clients, a little bit of an education piece, and a little bit of an advocacy piece. It started by a guy who was, as he was getting out of the Navy, realized nobody is telling people as they are leaving active duty service, becoming veterans, on anything about the housing piece of it. There's one little snippet of, oh, hey, by the way, you can use a VA loan.
Yeah,
and that's it.
There's zero education. My husband's prior Marine, when he got out, and he was younger too and was in no position at the time. He was like, I didn't even care about any of it. I was just done. But there's zero education about it.
Yes. Exactly. So unfortunately, there's not a lot of education that the military is putting out to that. And there haven't been any organizations prior to us. So basically our founder and CEO, Son Win, he realized, okay, this is a problem. And let me think through ways that I can figure out how to solve this.
Yeah.
So he ended up creating this organization. We've been in place for a little over 10 years. I want to say this is year 11 or 12. So around the same time that I got started in real estate. And we have chapters in multiple states. We're not in every state yet, but we do have chapters in many of them. And what we try to focus on is pulling people in the community who are in the real estate industry. Mostly, we think of lenders or realtors, right?
Right, yeah.
But then we also have people who are in the title industry or insurance or home inspectors, or maybe they're contractors that they may be former military and, offer specialized discounts to, military members, for their contract work or whatever. It's just a way to pull them together. And then on one hand, we offer lunch and learns regularly. We try to aim for monthly or just depending on what the chapter finds works best for their community, right? And what we do is we educate the real estate people in that area on how best to serve the military clients, whether they're active duty or veterans, and help educate them to break those stigmas so that they encourage their military folks, again, whether they're active duty, reservist, or a veteran, on using that VA loan itself. And we've realized that's one way, but then also, we need to educate the military directly too.
Yes.
So
the consumer, to the
actual borrower,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So what we are also working on, and we've done pieces of it over the years, and we're kind of shifting how we're working on it, but we're also actively working to put together essentially seminars regularly provided by VAREP in areas. We're working to get congressionally chartered. We are an actual VSO, a veteran service organization.
That's so awesome.
But we're working to get the congressionally chartered approval so that we can then have access to be able to go on to bases to put on seminars
and actually
teach classes to active duty veterans, et cetera, who are near that base, and tell them, here's what you need to know about how to use your VA loan. Here's how to find a good realtor who understands the VA loan process and understands the benefits and the nuances that are a little bit different on helping you during PCS season, or when you're afterwards and, looking to buy that, whether it's a first home, move up home, forever home, you name it, just being able to utilize that benefit, because what we've realized is less than 30% of qualified people who qualify to use their VA loan actually use it when they buy. So they're buying houses.
They're just not using
They're not using the VA loan.
I've always kind of wondered why that is. I think some of it might be the bank they're talking to or the realtor they're talking to. Maybe they also don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
But it's always one of the questions that we ask, whether you think it or not. Like, do you have this, do you have the eligibility? Here are the things. Some people go, oh my gosh. Oh, but I don't want to use it because I've heard it's terrible. And then therein lies the education part. I've been trying of late to do more and more like VA virtual homebuyer classes to just educate them in general. Because like you said, you'd be surprised how many of them are absolutely clueless that the benefit exists. I mean, I think they know it exists. They just don't know enough, and they don't really know where to go to get the answers for it.
Exactly.
And if you're not educated enough, I'd like to say you and I are educated enough, right, to give the advice and we've been doing this long enough where we know what we're doing and answer the questions. But some people don't, or they just throw the VA specialist in their tags or in their signature lines. And unfortunately, some of the bigger banks, will name nameless on them, they are no idea what they're doing either. They're just call centers.
Yes.
So they're not helping and educate. So when I met you, I think first time in January, face to face, and you did this whole spiel, and I was like, I love her. I love this. I had no idea this even existed, which is funny because I've been doing mortgages for 12, 13 years. But I've been doing real estate my entire life. I'm 43.
Right.
And I was like, this is amazing. I actually recently just went in and became a member because I was like,
I did see that.
You did see that, right? Because I was like, I have to go to these events. I'm excited for the lunch and learn that's coming up because just your all's take and just the educating part of it, I just love. And I come from a military family as well. So it's dear to my heart too. So
I love it. Yeah.
Okay. So, we're doing the educating of, now do you guys teach the classes, or who actually teaches the classes to the consumer or to the real estate professionals? So does it vary on who does them?
It varies.
Okay.
So most chapters will have, all chapters have a board of directors. And one of those pieces is the education director. So that person is the one who is coordinating our, monthly lunch and learns, or however often they do them. There's some chapters who do them, 2-3 times a month. There's other ones who do bigger all-day trainings, more like quarterly or monthly or so forth. So it just kind of varies per chapter, but ideally we're doing them monthly. And that education coordinator, sometimes that person is helping to reach out to local experts like yourself to say, hey, we'd love to have a guest speaker come in and talk on this particular topic. Here's the topic we want to present on this month. Can you, teach on this?
So it changes from month to month. It's not just the same. Okay.
Exactly. So we try to stick with topics that are all related to working within the military field as a client base.
Okay.
But sometimes we're talking about what are those myths about the VA loan?
Yeah.
What do realtors or lenders assume about it, or maybe the consumer might assume about it that might be wrong, that we just keep hearing perpetuated? So talking about, breaking down the myths about the VA loan. We also have brought in an appraiser regularly.
I love that.
Who specializes in VA loans. He works for the VA down in Charlottesville. So he has graciously come up a few times and been able to just kind of give his spiel, so to speak, on what makes it a little bit different on a VA appraisal. Help to, kind of ease those fears. That
some of the stigma is just on the VA appraisal, right? Appraisal.
Exactly.
Like, it has nothing to do with the fact that it's a VA loan. It's the whole stigma that, it's going to be more, it's going to be scrutinized more. The seller's going to be responsible for all of these things. Yeah. So that's awesome that they come and do that. We're trying to actually put together a class here for realtors, because that is,
it's helpful.
It is extremely helpful. And once they see the ins and outs of it, listing agents can then educate the sellers who have caught it, because a lot of it too, consumers, and this is not a dig, but consumers know just enough to be dangerous, right? Whatever 100%. They see or hear, they don't dig in further. So it's helpful when or we know you have professionals that can help break the stigma on it.
For sure. Yeah. So, and we've also had, marketing experts come in and teach, on, okay, how do you, if military clients are the majority of who you want to serve in your lending business or your realtor business, then how do you market yourself online, Instagram, so other social medias, Google SEO? How do you market yourself to better reach those people and help educate them on that platform so that they know that you understand the nuances of what makes the VA loan process a little different?
Actually know.
And that you actually know it, right? Exactly. Because there are some big banks out there who kind of try to come off as advertising that they are the VA and that they're the sole VA loan provider, and that's not the case. Most lenders can offer a VA loan. It's just you want to make sure that the loan officer you're working with or the realtor you're working with understands the benefit of it and can help actually guide you.
Yeah, because there's a different, every loan type is different. It has different, ins and outs and qualification purposes and things like that. So, and same thing when you guys are writing offers, right? The contracts are different for VA. There's different things that you guys have to check the box and do. So I do agree on that. And I have several realtors that I've worked with, people over the years who are like, look, I don't know the answers, right? So they come to you and they're like, my friends know the VA loan. What do I need to know? So I love that you guys have this, because there've been a couple of late that I've come across that are newer in the industry or just don't really know all the things that make a VA loan tick in the offers. And I said, look, there's this thing, they do the classes, and I've actually been like, VA rep is great.
I love it.
So I have sent people your way. So, but you guys are active part in the community too. Yes. Like I got, I think Dave's email the other day about the
hero dogs.
Yes, the hero dogs. And I do something with a friend of mine. He does the Paws of Honor, and there was a lot of veteran there in law enforcement that helped. So you guys are active parts of the community too, which is awesome.
We are, So anytime that we have a community outreach director, that's Dave, and anytime that we hear about either other military-focused organizations who are doing events like Hero Dogs has the upcoming fundraiser later this month, or we hear of maybe maybe it's active duty service member or a veteran in need in our area. That is really the heart and why of why we do this and why we want to help out, because we had one veteran who unfortunately both a husband and wife had served, both were veterans. They had young kids, and mental health is not really addressed, unfortunately, and it can be really awful in that lifestyle, and especially with everything that they go through and what they have dealt with, especially if they were deployed. And or with women, sexual assault is unfortunately rampant in the military. It's very high. So we also have a branch within our VA rep organization that deals with veteran suicide prevention called Stop, Drop, and Push, as well as just we're branching out from there to offer additional therapies and services to help combat mental health issues. And locally, we had a couple here a few years ago that the wife unfortunately committed suicide right before Christmas. This was over COVID. So, the whole family had come down with COVID. The husband was hospitalized. She committed suicide. And thankfully they had someone who was able to come in and take care of the kids. But we stepped in. They were one of our members' clients. And so she brought the situation to us. So we stepped in and we paid for her funeral expenses. We also got Christmas gifts for all of the kids.
Gosh, you're going to make me cry. That's so amazing. I didn't know you guys. That's awesome.
I mean, it's one of those. The more that we can grow as an organization, because we are a nonprofit, the more benefit that we can do for our local community, and also help make sure that realtors and lenders know how to best serve this, and know that we can be a resource if we can help, or at least help them try to find some other way to get connected with somebody.
That's amazing. The whole thing is great, and I think it's one of those that we're going to. I'm gonna tag at the end of this the link and everything, and it's just for real estate professionals can become members.
Yes.
But there's lots of stuff on the website, and I'll highlight a couple things, and I'll tag you too. So for like community events, but the real estate community. So title people can do it. Anyone that's a part of it. So it's not just realtors and lenders. Anyone that's part of
anyone who's in the real estate world
can be part of this membership and be part of all the events and stuff that go on.
Exactly. And it's only $99 a year, which is super reasonable. And that money goes to our national. So we don't keep that money with our chapter. That money goes to national, and it goes towards the whole bucket, right? That helps out all of our different services for the national things that we can do, because each chapter has our smaller pieces, right? And what we can do within our local community. Nationally, they have put together a lot more of the Stop, Drop, and Push and similar, suicide or mental health awareness programs. We also have a home renovation program, so that if somebody maybe was disabled during their service and they need to modify their home to now fit their disability, we can come in and step in and help them get that done. Or if they wanted to make any energy updates to their home to better suit what they need for it because of their service especially, we can do that. We've also partnered with some of the bigger national mortgage companies that have allowed us to donate mortgage-free homes. We did talk about that last time, and I was like, I love that so much. And I actually, you and I didn't talk about it later, but I actually brought it to the awareness of CMG. I'm taking it up the chain because I was like, we need to be part of this. Yes. I mean, they sent out some numbers today. I know 75% of my business is VA loans. So I was like, I was like looking for everyone in the company, and I was like, we have to bring this, because I feel like everyone should be, like, it seemed like part of the closest chapter that they can be to help, like I said, their community and the awareness. Yes. But that I love. That is because so many people, like you said, the mental health and just the need in general. Exactly.
I think veterans in general, there's just so much that community needs that
they really do. They really do. Yeah. Exactly. And so it's nice to feel like I'm a part of something that does give back to not just my community here locally for what we can do, but also nationally to advocate for our military as a whole, and so that's our main goal at VAREP. And we also every year have that we take the advocacy a step further. Every year we have what we call our policy conference. We meet in June in DC with representatives at the Hill. Yeah. So we're talking with people in Congress and in the Senate on, here are 2 or 3 big ticket items we want you to be aware of that we're actively working on trying to get as bills and passed, so that we can ensure that we are speaking up for our active duty military, our reservists, our veteran people nationwide on their housing needs or their financial literacy needs.
And the spouses too, right? The spouses of the deceased or the kids that are, like you said, left behind. Like, there needs to be a lot more awareness to the whole thing. So I love that. I did see your post the other day about one of the things that was taken away, and I was like, womp, womp, womp.
Yes.
We won't go down that rabbit hole because we could be here for hours. But I was like,
that was one of the things we had pushed for getting passed. And and unfortunately, that program has ended, and that.
I'm like, they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to bring some, they can't just do away with it. And fingers crossed, I'm like, maybe we're just going to revamp it, right? We're going to bring back something.
Not going to.
I don't know. Wishful thinking though, right? I feel like it's wishful thinking.
It is.
Well, I appreciate you being here.
Yeah,
I'm going to tag you in all the stuff. Okay. I will let you do a little, because I know you're a realtor.
Yes.
So I would love for you to do a little shout out of where you work, what you do, the company you're with, and all that fun stuff too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate that.
Yes.
So I'm Allyson Lenz. I am with Compass Real Estate, and I serve the Northern Virginia area. I'm based out of Alexandria, but I honestly will go all over depending on where my clients need me. And I live just outside of Belvoir, so you can definitely think of me for Belvoir, Quantico, the Pentagon, all those PCSs in the area.
But you also have a really great network of out of state as well.
Yes.
So even if you are looking to go out of state and you don't know where to go to, they can contact you, and you can, because you have lots of contacts in different states that can help them.
Yes,
and a real connection, not just 100%. Like, here's this random person. So I know that's something that big, because you talked about that at the conference too. So if you're out of state too, or your PCS, you don't know what, reach out to Allyson. She's got lots of contacts.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we will see you next time. The next episode after this one, I'm interviewing some military spouses.
Oh, nice.
And they're going to go in depth on the tips and tricks on when they moved and PCS and all the fun stuff and advice. They're going to try to give some advice. So we will see you next time.
Bye.